Okay, now some of these blades can be used as is. Like this one, it's got some cortex on the back, so immediately you could use this for sawing or cutting. It's called a backed blade. Archaeologists like to call these backed blades because it does have some cortex or an area that is, safe for your finger or maybe even part of your hand, palm of your hand to bear down on. Extremely sharp, fairly straight. It can be used as is. A lot of these that I just took off have the backing on them. Now I'm going to heat treat these because it's very, very grainy. Although, I can make points out of this, it's quite a hassle to do so, especially with abo tools. Now, when you heat treat it, it becomes a little bit brittle, unpredictable, but much better than the alternative, which is this here. Now, the disadvantage of using the abo tools is actually an advantage for durability to use as is. Like I can cut bone with it. You know what I mean? But try to use bone to nap it, it's going to wear out your bone for the same reasons, okay? But yeah, I am going to heat treat these just because I just throw in a bunch of stone to heat treat at a time. Try to get it all done quickly. I really don't have time to be too selective. I just throw it all in at the same time. After spalling a few of these nodules, I have enough. Well, I'd say, maybe 8 or 10 nodules of this size, and I have enough to fill up a turkey roaster of nice spalls. Anyway, this is kind of like a conical core, but it doesn't go all the way around. You know what I mean? I'm not going to strike off blades from all sides, just this side. And I've got a good natural platform here until it doesn't look like it's going to yield anymore. Then I'll just try another angle and get smaller spalls off until I'm left with a chunk that I can heat treat if I want to. Sometimes I toss the chunks, especially if they're really, really grainy like down here. I might just toss the chunk. Yeah. So I need to take off thicker flakes than this if I want them to go all the way down. Yeah, it's quite brittle, this piece. Let's see. Not sure if it's worth too much at this point. Looks like it's getting more brittle as I go in. Yeah, that's very, very grainy, so let's see. This side over here is not too bad. It's just this is really gritty, so I might be able to get another spall somewhere off of this side. Yeah, that's not too bad. Could hit here and maybe get some off of that, because this is not so grainy next to the cortex, which means it'll probably heat better. I can make points that are more delicate out of this stuff than I can out of this stuff after heat treating. I think I'm going to get ambitious and just strike here and try to I want to capture that under the cortex, I do have to hit here. Yeah, it's almost too thin. Took some risk on that one because see this concavity here? But I hit high enough that I overcame that. Still an odd looking flake, you know. But I think that's as far as I'm going to go with it. This stuff in here is pretty nasty, so let's go to the next one. Not too good. The darker stuff is better than this lighter stuff in this case. A lot of times I'll say the light colors will heat treat easier and better, but in this case it's very, very coarse. It's almost like it almost feels like a sandstone, although it is a chert. Yeah, I won't continue with this one. I've got too much of this stuff. Very difficult to nap, even when heat treated. Let's see. Not too bad. See, even with a small stone, I can get a big chunk off. A little thick, I think. There is kind of like a sweet spot when it comes to spalling. Not too thick, not too thin. You know, to yield the most versatile material. You want to be able to make just about anything you want out of the spalls you get. Of course, you're limited by size. This one I can't make, you know, large points out of course. But, you know, I could make just about anything that's under 2 inches, even if it needs to be a thick point. But it's a little bit too thick. I'm going to have to thin that out with some thinning flakes. Now I could try to capture, see the hard part about capturing large flakes is you got to find a good platform somewhere, and there really isn't any, you know, to try to strike the bottom off of this. You know what I mean? This is a little bit too rounded. This is a little bit too rounded, but it's not too bad. If I hit right in the center, I might be able to pop the whole top off. You know what I mean? Just take the whole top. If I hit here somewhere, that way I've got that length. If I'm able to remove the entire top off of this cone, that's a pretty good length right there. It's going to be kind of thick though here in the middle, but I don't want to lose that ridge because it strengthens this whole thing. I took a few whacks, but yeah, I think it captured the entire length. Well, it's a little thin at this end, but yeah, I could probably make something out of that. See if I can do that again. If I can take off another one like that, that'd be good. I don't know. I tried to go all the way across with it, but it stopped. Stopped right here where there was some incipient cracks from that hit right here. Tried to go across it, and there's some cracks that stopped it. See, I really hit hard more than once on that side, so those incipient cracks can stop other flakes from traveling. It wasn't too bad of a spall, right? Because it's still longer than if I tried to get a flake off of in that direction. Instead of trying to go in this direction, this is longer than that. So it wasn't too bad. Now this can heat up pretty nice, but it's not going to be as nice as this one. It's the one from the last video. This is better, and the translucency kind of gives you a hint that it's going to be better quality. This stuff is not translucent, I mean, it is a little bit, but not like the other one. Alright, can't do too much with that, so I'll just leave it. I can cook this as is if I want to. It's kind of thick there, but well, no big loss if it cracks. Just thin it out. Oops. Yeah, that's good enough right there for putting in the turkey roaster. Let's see what else. I still have this one here. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. This one might have some fossils in it. We'll see. It's not too bad actually on this side. That was kind of yucky. Yeah. Lots of imperfections. Not really good for projectile points, but you can still use it for chopping. Shaving. You take down that edge and make it smoother. Find serrations you can scrape and hide with it. That kind of thing. But a lot of these, if you have a lot of these low quality stones, you don't really get too excited about it being a scraper or something, because then you have hundreds of scrapers. What you really want is to have hundreds of projectile points. One scraper will last you a long time, especially if you're doing hides. Okay. Especially if you're doing hides and not scraping or thinning down bone, for example. Now if you have to work a lot of bone, then yeah, it's good to have a lot of these. Okay, so that's good enough to heat treat.